Elena Martinez entered the vast council chamber with unshaken poise. The colossal room was packed with beings from all corners of the galaxy. Some resembled towering insects. Others were tall, blue-skinned, and burdened with too many limbs. Few shimmered with internal radiance. Every gaze was fixed on her and the man walking beside her. Admiral Jake Thompson, a veteran of 3 decades in the military, wore his lined face and gray hair like a history book of war. He stood tall in his formal uniform, though Elena caught the tension in his posture. Today would test them both. Silence blanketed the room as a tall, purple-skinned creature with 4 eyes stepped forward. High Chancellor Vexar of the Zepyrian Empire, renowned for his cold logic and unforgiving rulings, spoke. His words echoed in flawless English, translated by the chamber's AI systems. "Ambassador Martinez, Admiral Thompson, you now appear before the Galactic Council to account for your species' repeated violations of interstellar law," Vexar stated. Though his tone remained level, it resonated with supreme authority. "Earth's fleet is active in sectors belonging to our coalition. That ends now." Elena was ready. Months of studying galactic law and political nuance had led to this moment. "High Chancellor, Earth's 12 vessels operate solely in neutral space. We have breached no treaties and have harmed no species." A chorus of clicking sounds echoed as the hive speaker of the Tyrillian Collective advanced. The insectoid figure stood nearly 8 feet tall with mirror-like compound eyes that gleamed under the lights. "Your human vessels obstruct our expansion into the outer rim. Your crude technology has no standing among civilized powers." Admiral Thompson stepped forward. His voice was calm and rang with the authority of Deep Space Command. "Our ships operate in neutral sectors. We don't provoke, we don't invade, and we make no claims on territory not our own." Vexar's 4 unblinking eyes locked onto the Admiral. "Your kind commands 12 military ships, obsolete fusion engines, kinetic weapons, rudimentary shielding. A single coalition patrol could annihilate your fleet in moments." He let that settle. "Yet you reject our offer of coalition protection." Elena understood the core issue. The coalition wanted humanity as a subordinate. Safety would come, at the cost of sovereignty. "We're grateful for the offer," Elena said with precision, "but humanity chooses to remain free." The chamber instantly burst into what followed could only be described as alien laughter. Dozens of species let out noises of amusement at the idea that humans, with their tiny fleet, could remain independent. But a calm, new voice sliced through the noise. Ambassador Lyra of the Athetheran Collective, rarely a speaker in council matters, now addressed the chamber. Her people were famed for glimpsing possible futures, and when they spoke, others listened. She was ethereal, silver skin glowing faintly, eyes like captured starlight. "Perhaps the council should ask why humanity maintains exactly 12 vessels," she said in a quiet voice. Yet her words carried more weight than all the shouting. Vexar dismissed her with a casual wave. 12 ships pose no threat. Their systems are centuries behind ours." Admiral Thompson's jaw clenched. Elena recognized that look. Someone had underestimated humanity again. "Our fleet serves its purpose," he said evenly. "Which is what, exactly?" barked General. "Core of the Zepyrian military. To act important in galactic matters?" "To defend Earth," Thompson replied instantly. Silence fell once more. Something in the Admiral's voice stopped even the loudest critics. It wasn't bravado. It wasn't warning. It was simply a truth, spoken with unwavering conviction. Hive speaker clicks clicked in irritation. 12 vessels cannot shield a system from real military action. Join us. Accept protection under the coalition." Elena stepped forward. She'd heard enough. "No, Earth's fleet stays under human authority. Vexar's expression remained unreadable, but Elena saw fury in those 4 alien eyes. Very well. The Galactic Council hereby grants humanity 72 standard. Ours to surrender its military fleet to coalition control. After that, your vessels will be designated as hostile and treated accordingly. The message was unmistakable. Submit or be destroyed. Admiral Thompson turned to Vexar, meeting his gaze directly. And if we refuse? Then the Zephyrian 7th Armada will erase your ships, General Kor answered. Over 800 vessels make up that force alone. Your 12 ships won't even slow us down. A cold shiver crept down Elena's spine. 800 ships against 12. It seemed like hopeless odds, but Elena had learned one thing. Never count out human stubbornness. As the session adjourned, Ambassador Lyra approached. Her silver eyes didn't look at Elena. They looked through her, as if seeing beyond the moment. Some laws exist for reasons beyond present understanding, she said softly. Earth's fleet holds purposes not yet made clear. Interference carries costs deeper than any treaty breach. Elena furrowed her brow. What are you talking about? But Lyra was already drifting away, her robes silent against the polished floor. Jake Thompson watched as alien delegates exited the hall. Many averted their gaze, unable or unwilling to meet human eyes. A few looked back with something that might have been pity. Admiral, Elena said, what do we do now? Thompson stood still for a long moment before replying. We go home and ready our people for what's coming. Can 12 ships stand against 800? She asked. The Admiral gave a smile, though it carried no warmth. Elena, there are things about our fleet that even you don't know. Things the galaxy has forgotten, or chosen to forget. What things? 50 years ago, when Earth first made contact with the wider galaxy, we faced a decision. We could have built thousands of ships, tried to match the great powers, outnumber them, or we could choose something else. She waited. We built 12, not because we lacked the means, but because 12 is all we needed. I don't understand. Thompson turned his gaze toward the now empty chamber. You will. Soon. There's a reason only one rule exists when it comes to humanity. Do not provoke Earth's fleet. They're about to learn why. Some rules are carved in fear because breaking them costs more than anyone wants to pay. As they exited, Elena noticed Ambassador Lyra hadn't left. She stood alone, unmoving, eyes fixed on something invisible. Her glowing skin seemed to flicker with sorrow. The price will be unbearable, Lyra whispered to herself. But they sealed their fate when they decided 12 ships couldn't matter. Elena didn't hear the words, but a deep chill ran through her. It wasn't the temperature. It was the sense that something immense had shifted. Something unstoppable was coming, and she suspected the galaxy would never be the same again. 3 days had passed since the council. Admiral Rebecca Stone stood on the bridge of the ESS Liberty, her gaze locked on the tactical displays with rising tension. The Zephyrian 7th Armada had arrived at the edge of the solar system, just as promised. 800 alien warships hovered like a curtain of death, their weapons trained on humanity's cradle. Rebecca had commanded Earth's fleet for 5 years. She was 43, with short brown hair and sharp green eyes that missed nothing. Her crew trusted her without hesitation. She'd never lost a battle. Today would push that record to the brink. Admiral, incoming transmission from Captain Danny Rodriguez aboard the Defiance, her comms officer said. On screen. Danny's face flickered into view. At 35, he was younger than Rebecca, but had earned his rank with talent and nerve. His ship held its position on the outer line, ready for whatever came. Admiral, the Zephyrians are shifting into full attack posture. We're boxed in. Rebecca gave a curt nod. All ships maintain defensive alignment. Do not fire unless fired upon. That's a direct order. Understood, ma'am. The Zephyrian fleet was a spectacle. Each ship dwarfed their human counterparts, 3 times the size, armed with firepower that could obliterate moons. Their armor shimmered with high-energy shielding impervious to most weapons. By all logic, humanity was already defeated. Captain Lisa Chen aboard the Freedom watched the formation from Mars orbit. Her tactical display flared with red as her sensor officer called out. "Captain, major energy spike from the flagship. They're charging something." Lisa, a 12-year space veteran, recognized the threat immediately. "All stations, brace for attack, raise shields, begin evasive protocols." But no weapons fired. Instead, shimmering blue light engulfed the Freedom as alien systems locked onto it. "They're not attacking," her science officer said, alarmed. "We're caught in a teleportation matrix. They're pulling us in." The ship trembled violently. "Can we break free?" Lisa barked. "Negative. Their tech outmatches us." Moments later, the Freedom was inside the massive Zephyrian flagship. Through the view screen, Lisa saw a legion of alien warriors waiting to board. They looked like armored phantoms, mechanized demons wielding glowing weapons. "All hands repel boarders," Lisa ordered, though she knew it was futile. Her crew had basic armor, slug weapons. The enemy had energy blades and barrier shields. The boarding was merciless. Zephyrian forces sliced through the hull like it was paper, storming through corridors with surgical speed. Human defenders were stunned, overrun, systems seized. Lisa and her security chief, Lieutenant Ben Parker, fought tooth and nail to defend the bridge. They lasted 10 desperate minutes before being overwhelmed. Alien gauntlets seized Lisa. Lisa managed to trigger her personal communicator one final time. "All ships, this is Captain Chen. Protocol 77 is now active." They crossed the line. The message was short, but its meaning was immense. Every human aboard every ship knew what Protocol 77 meant. It was the single code they all prayed would never come. Commander Alex Wright received the transmission aboard the ESS Courage. At just 34, he was the youngest commander in fleet history. From his post near Jupiter, he watched in horror as the ESS Freedom vanished into the enemy's flagship. "Sir, your orders?" asked his XO. Alex hesitated, just for a second. He thought of his training, the oath he swore, and the burden now on his shoulders. "Send a secure message to Earth Command. Protocol 77 is active." "Sir, are you certain?" "They seized one of ours, Commander. That changes everything." Beneath the Rocky Mountains, deep within Global Defense Command, General Patricia Hayes sat in her command seat. A no-nonsense woman in her 50s, she had spent her life defending humanity. When the Courage's transmission came in, her heart sank. Around her, Earth's top strategists fell silent. Every one of them knew what Protocol 77 meant, and none looked pleased. "General," said her comms officer, "we've received confirmation from the Courage. Protocol 77 is active." Patricia rose slowly. "Ladies and gentlemen, as of now, Earth Defense Resolution 2157 is in effect. All department heads, report to Conference Room Alpha." Dr. Kevin Park arrived first. As the foremost expert on fleet special systems, his face was pale. "General, are we really doing this?" "That decision was made 50 years ago, Doctor. Everyone in the fleet understood what it meant. But the loss of life? They chose this path when they took the Freedom. Now they'll understand why we built 12 ships, not 12,000. In orbit, Admiral Stone was already linked with the remaining 11 captains. Their quantum communication array allowed them to connect thought to thought, technology. Few species even realized existed. "All captains, you know what must come," she said across the link. "Captain Chen may be taken, But her ship remains in our network. They don't understand what they've brought aboard. Captain Rodriguez responded from the ESS Defiance. Admiral, we're ready. We've trained our whole careers for this. One by one, confirmations echoed through the link. Every crew knew their role. Every soul had volunteered, aware of the risks. Aboard the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kor observed his prize with satisfaction. The captured human vessel was crude, but untouched. Already, science teams dissected its systems, curious how something so outdated could function in advanced warfare. Admiral, the human command crew is secured, reported General Vex. The vessel's computers are under our control. Good. Begin extracting navigation logs and fleet coordinates. But Subcommander Yex, the chief science officer, had found something disturbing. Admiral, there are encrypted subroutines embedded in the core systems. The architecture is unfamiliar. Can you crack it? No, sir. The encryption is quantum-locked using principles beyond our current understanding. Admiral Kor frowned. Humanity was supposed to be technologically inferior. Quantum-level encryption was cutting edge, even by coalition standards. Keep working. I want everything there is to know about their true capabilities. In her cell, aboard the alien vessel, Captain Lisa Chen sat calmly. She felt no fear. The aliens had made a grave mistake. They believed they'd captured a simple warship. But the ESS Freedom was far more than that. It was a node in a vast living system, and that system was still very much awake. Through her neural implant, Lisa could feel the quiet hum of her fellow captains preparing. It felt like music in the distance, haunting, beautiful, and terrifying. This is it, she thought. They wanted to test 12 ships against 800. Now they'll get their answer. The change was already underway. Hidden deep within each Earth vessel, dormant systems began powering up, subroutines not touched in years. The aliens had triggered something ancient and deliberate. They would soon understand the cost. Admiral Stone's voice passed through the quantum network for all the captains to hear. All stations, commence final preparations. The galaxy is about to remember why there's only one rule about Earth's fleet. Lisa sat motionless in her alien cell, but her mind was free. The Zephyrians had her body, but not her thoughts. Through her quantum neural implant, untraceable to alien tech, she remained connected to her ship and her comrades. The implant, woven from entangled quantum particles and fused to her brainstem, was undetectable. Every crew member in Earth's fleet carried one. Together they formed a consciousness that stretched across space. Lisa closed her eyes. The link activated. Suddenly she could feel them. Stone aboard the Liberty, Rodriguez aboard the Defiance, and the others. Their thoughts braided into hers like currents in a river. Lisa, what's their defensive posture? Admiral Stone's thoughts came through crystal clear. Standard coalition formation, Admiral. They think this is routine. They believe we're primitives. Can you reach your ship's core systems? The Freedom is still in our web. They think they've stolen a warship. They don't understand what they're inside. Most of the galaxy had long forgotten, or never knew, the truth. Half a century ago, when Earth first entered galactic space, humanity made a choice: build thousands of ships and join the arms race, or build something entirely new. Our greatest minds and strategists united to forge 12 ships, not standalone vessels, but one collective entity. Each warship was also a node in an immense quantum-linked system. Admiral Stone summoned her captains into the shared virtual space. Physically scattered, their minds met in a dimension that existed nowhere and everywhere. "You all know why we're here," she said, her mental tone absolute. 50 years ago, we had two paths: become another military power or forge something never seen before. Captain Rodriguez nodded, though it was only within the mind space. 12 ships that think together. 12 ships that compute faster than any species in known space. Today, Stone declared, we show the galaxy why we chose unity over numbers. Begin Phase 1, Transformation. Across the fleet, changes began that would have seemed like miracles to any outside observer. The 12 vessels drew power not just from fusion cores, but from the vacuum of space itself. Coalition sensors couldn't comprehend the readings. On board the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kor's concerns deepened. His science division was delivering alarming reports. Admiral, the human vessels appear to be harnessing zero-point energy, Sub-Commander Yex said. That's impossible, Kor snapped. It should be, Yex agreed. Even the most advanced species have failed at vacuum energy extraction, and yet they're doing it. What's the purpose of this energy draw? Weapons? Shields? Unknown, sir. These aren't conventional warships, Yex said at last. Explain, Admiral Kor demanded. Each ship contains quantum cores, processors that link across vessels. They don't operate as a fleet in the normal sense. Together, they become a single intelligence, spread across 12 mobile platforms. What kind of intelligence needs 12 starships to function? Before Yex could answer, the human ships began moving, flawlessly synchronized. Their vectors looked chaotic at first, but a pattern emerged. Each vessel was aligning itself with precise intent that made no sense to conventional military doctrine. Captain Danny Rodriguez felt the familiar shift of merging consciousness as his mind flowed into the shared quantum field. He and his fellow captains became more than individuals. They were now a singular entity of terrifying precision. 11 separate identities fused into one computational organism, capable of tasks far beyond human limits. The sensation was overwhelming, beautiful, and terrifying. Rodriguez still retained his sense of self, but it was immersed within a greater whole. Together, they could track and compute trajectories of objects at relativistic speeds with near-perfect accuracy. All stations confirm trajectory lock. Admiral Stone's voice rippled through the joined minds. ESS Defiance. Trajectory confirmed. Impact certainty 99.7%. ESS Courage on course. Time to contact 43 minutes, 18 seconds. ESS Freedom locked from remote node, came Lisa Chen's thought, cold and resolute. They may hold my body, but my ship is still online. The awful reality was dawning within the Zephyrian armada. The humans were not preparing for a firefight. Each ship was accelerating on a course that bent the rules of warfare. Admiral Kor's eyes widened in horror. They're turning their fleet into relativistic projectiles. General Vex looked stunned. Each ship is accelerating to near light speed. They're aimed directly at our formation. At those velocities, Yex added, eyes darting across calculations, each ship becomes a weapon of extinction. The energy released on impact would rival multiple stellar detonations. Can we intercept? Kor asked, desperate. No, sir, Yex replied. Their collective quantum intelligence calculates evasion paths faster than our systems can respond. They're using the entire fleet as a neural computer, autonomously correcting mid-flight. Kor felt dread rise like a tide. He wasn't witnessing warfare. This was something else, an apocalyptic protocol unlike anything recorded. Other species cherished their fleets. Ships were resources to be protected, but humanity had designed theirs as ammunition, one-shot weapons built for total annihilation. Signal all coalition units, Kor ordered, voice shaking. Immediate. Retreat. Evacuate the human system. Now. But the order came too late. The physics of the situation had taken over. The ships were past critical velocity. Nothing the Zephyrians possessed could touch them now. 11 vessels, silent, unified, unstoppable, had crossed the point of no return. Inside the quantum consciousness, Captain Rodriguez felt something unexpected. Serenity. Captain Rodriguez felt an unexpected calm as his ship surged past limits conventional technology could never reach. The quantum network poured energy directly from space-time itself into his engines, transforming his vessel into a kinetic weapon with unimaginable destructive power. This is what we trained for, he thought, his message echoing across the shared consciousness. This is why we joined Earth's fleet, knowing we might never return. Admiral Stone's final communication was transmitted to Earth Command. Mission, parameters achieved. 11 ships committed to terminal intercept. Earth is secure. The reply came swiftly from General Hayes. Admiral, the planet salutes you. Your sacrifice will be remembered forever. The human ships reached 97% light speed, streaking across the solar system like blazing arrows of death. The Zephyrian fleet scrambled in panic, but 800 ships could not outmaneuver 11 vessels linked by a single adaptive quantum intelligence. Captain Lisa Chen, locked in her alien cell, felt the Freedom system surge to life for the final time. Despite being captured, her ship remained within the network. Its quantum core synchronized instantly with the others. All ships final. Approach locked, came Admiral Stone's closing message, touching every human mind. It has been an honor to serve beside you. Lisa's last sensation was overwhelming unity, a dozen minds merging into one radiant whole. Even imprisoned, the Freedom flew with its sisters, proving that Earth's ships could not be separated from their purpose. Not by force, not by distance. The collision could be seen from distant star systems. 11 vessels moving just below, the speed of light struck the Zephyrian fleet with the energy of collapsing stars. In 4.3 seconds, 800 ships vanished from existence. 3 kilometers beneath the Colorado mountains, Dr. Susan Blake worked urgently in Earth's most classified laboratory. Holographic walls glowed with power readings beyond theoretical limits. Humanity's fleet wasn't just accelerating, it was evolving. Susan, gray-haired and lined by years of relentless work, was still the sharpest mind in quantum defense science. 2 decades earlier, she had helped design the systems now reshaping history. General Hayes, she said into a secure line, the fleet is approaching critical synchronization. What happens then? Once full quantum coherence is reached, nothing in known physics will be able to stop what's coming. In Global Command, General Hayes stood surrounded by grim-faced leaders who had feared this moment for decades. The command floor was ablaze with data, solar maps, ship, vectors, combat analytics. Everyone watched in silence as the final 11 human vessels continued their impossible acceleration. Dr. Blake, remind me of the physics, General Hayes said. Her voice was calm, but Susan heard the tension beneath. Ma'am, Blake replied, when our 12 ships reach full quantum entanglement, they cease to be separate. They become a single, unified processor able to compute real-time trajectories for relativistic impact with flawless precision. Each ship is simultaneously a guidance computer and a weapon. The concept was both brilliant and terrifying. Half a century of research had gone into building vessels whose quantum cores could synchronize over any distance. Once fully linked, the 12 ships became a superintelligence unmatched in the known galaxy. President Angela Foster sat in her secure chamber beneath the White House, observing the command feed by encrypted video. A small woman with soft features and gentle eyes, she now carried the weight of a choice that would reshape galactic history. General Hayes, she said solemnly, you have my approval. Resolution 2157 is active. May God forgive us. That resolution had been drafted 50 years ago, simple words hiding a horrifying contingency. If humanity's fleet were ever attacked, and if capture or defeat seemed certain, the remaining ships would become relativistic missiles. They would destroy the enemy at any cost. Every Earth fleet officer had known about Resolution 2157, and still they volunteered. Their families had known too, and still supported them. Now, in the cold vacuum above, that decision reached its final chapter. The 11 remaining ships had achieved perfect synchronization. Their computing cores merged into one system, drawing energy not from reactors, but from the very vacuum of space. Captain Rodriguez felt his mind stretch outward as the link completed. His thoughts flowed into the collective like a drop of water into the sea. It was disorienting and beautiful. He could sense the unwavering focus of Admiral Stone, the fierce resolve of Commander Wright, and even the quiet determination of Captain Chen, still imprisoned aboard the alien flagship. They were no longer just individuals. They were a single mind with one goal: protect Earth. All stations, trajectory computations finalized, came Admiral Stone's final directive, resonating through every thought in the network. Impact certainty at maximum. The complexity of their calculations defied logic. Gravitational drag from planets, the random movements of retreating enemies, even relativistic distortion, everything had to be accounted for in real time. No normal computer could do it, but 12 quantum cores operating as one could. Every ship followed an exact course, one path, one strike, one purpose. On the Zephyrian command ship, chaos reigned. Admiral Kor stared in disbelief at the tactical display. The truth hit him like a blow. "They've turned their entire fleet into a distributed weapon system," he muttered. "Each one a missile," Yex added grimly. "Guided by a consciousness we cannot reach." "Can we jam their signals?" General Vex snapped. "There's nothing to jam," Yex replied. "They're using entanglement. The link doesn't exist in normal space-time. We might as well try to block gravity." The Zephyrian fleet was trying to flee, but their massive ships were too slow, too rigid. The human vessels, compact and agile, were closing fast. Admiral Kor made a last, desperate gamble. "Release the prisoners, all of them. Maybe mercy will stop this." But the moment had passed. Captain Lisa Chen was brought to the alien bridge just in time to see her own ship, ESS Freedom, appear on the view screen. Still buried in the Zephyrian flagship, it pulsed with light as its core linked, fully with the others. "Captain Chen," Kor pleaded. "Can you stop the attack? We'll retreat. We'll leave your system." Lisa's expression was sorrowful. "You should have thought of that before you took my ship," she said softly. "Thousands will die," he said. "We have over 30,000 crew." "And we have less than 3,000, Lisa replied. "Every one of them knew what they were risking. So did I." "Ma'am, the energy will hit only the alien fleet," Dr. Blake confirmed. "Our people knew exactly what they were doing when they designed this system." What followed was visible to observers all across the solar system. 11 radiant streaks of light tore through space like divine arrows loosed by an unseen force. Each vessel, once a warship, was now a missile, burning with the fury of a small star. Captain Rodriguez experienced a final moment of peace as his ship neared light speed. Through the quantum link, he felt the collective hope of billions back on Earth. Love, pride, fear, they all surged through him like a wave. "It's been an honor," he said calmly to his crew through the ships. "Comms, thank you for trusting me to lead you home." The ESS Defiance was the first to strike. It collided with the Zephyrian vessel at 97.3% of light speed. In that instant, both ships vanished, transformed into raw energy, bright enough to outshine the stars. What followed was devastation. 10 more human ships followed. Each found its target with inhuman precision, their paths plotted by a mind no longer bound to singular thought. Together, they became a force of nature. The ESS Freedom, still trapped aboard the enemy flagship, activated its core one final time. Captain Lisa Chen joined her fellow captains in perfect unity, completing the formation. Even as a prisoner, she fulfilled her role. Earth's fleet remained loyal to its purpose to the very end. When the light faded, The Zephyrian 7th Armada no longer existed. 800 warships, 30,000 crew, wiped from existence in less than 5 seconds. And then, silence. Across the galaxy, hundreds of species had watched the confrontation in real time, and they did not understand. Earth's fleet had not simply fought back. It had erased its enemy. No declarations, no extended battle, just cold mathematical obliteration powered by sacrifice. They hadn't just resisted, they had rewritten the meaning of warfare. In the place where a mighty fleet had once loomed, there was now nothing but quiet void and cooling fragments. The impact of 11 human vessels, each moving at relativistic speed, had created a chain of energy bursts visible even from nearby star systems. The entire event lasted exactly 4.3 seconds. On Earth, in the Global Command Center, Lieutenant Peter Graham stood frozen. He was 26, sandy-haired, blue-eyed, and now the last surviving active officer of Earth's once proud fleet. He had been on leave, visiting his ailing mother in Ohio, unaware of what was unfolding above. And now, everyone else was gone. General Patricia Hayes stepped forward and opened the final report. General Hayes read the casualty report aloud to the gathered leaders. Her voice remained firm, but the sorrow in her eyes told the true story. 12 ships, total crew, 2,847. Souls, the entirety of Earth's active space defense fleet. The number hung in the air like a weight no one could ignore. Less than 3,000 humans had just destroyed a force of over 30,000, along with 800 of the most advanced warships the galaxy had ever fielded. The math was astonishing, but it wasn't the statistics that mattered. It was the lives. Dr. Susan Blake stood in her subterranean lab and delivered the technical briefing. The quantum processing network was annihilated during the final impact, but all core data was archived. If we choose to rebuild, the next fleet will be even more capable than the one we lost. President Angela Foster sat quietly for several long seconds before speaking to the Global Defense Council. The question before us is not whether we can rebuild, it's whether we should. Does today's demonstration buy us peace, or does it demand we prepare for more? The debate that followed would have seemed bizarre to other species. Any other race would have launched immediate construction of a larger, more powerful armada. But humanity was different. They knew their victory hadn't come from numbers or technological superiority. It had come from sacrifice, from courage, from a choice made by less than 3,000 people to stand between Earth and annihilation. Ambassador Elena Martinez returned from the Galactic Council with news that would reshape Earth's future. She walked into the command center holding a sealed document bearing the marks of over 1,000 civilizations. "Madam President," she said, her voice carrying the weight of history, "there will be no immediate need to rebuild." She raised the document high. "The Galactic Council has passed Resolution 3847, unanimously. It is now galactic law. No military action may be taken against Earth or its colonies without explicit Council approval." General Hayes blinked. "Unanimous? Even the Zephyrians?" Elena nodded. "Especially the Zephyrians. The final vote was 1,247 in favor, 0 opposed, and 15 abstentions. The abstentions," she added, "were from species too shaken to respond." The news spread like wildfire. Across Earth, in every city, people gathered to mourn and to honor. Memorials were held in every tongue humanity had ever spoken. In one global ceremony, the names of all 2,847 crew members were read aloud. The vigil lasted for hours, but the real consequences were rippling far beyond Earth. Within days, fleets from major galactic powers withdrew from all sectors near human space. Trade routes were redrawn to avoid Earth's borders, and perhaps most astonishing of all, diplomatic envoys began arriving from powers that had never before acknowledged Earth's presence. The message was clear. Earth was no longer just a curiosity. on the galactic map. It was now a power in its own right, a sovereign world surrounded not by borders, but by the memory of what it had dared to do. The first formal contact came from Ambassador Lyra of the Athetheran Collective. 3 weeks after the battle, she arrived on Earth, shimmering silver skin glowing faintly beneath the high dome of the rebuilt council chambers. "Humanity has achieved something unprecedented in galactic history," Lyra said softly. "You have earned the respect and fear of every species in known space through a single act of coordinated sacrifice." President Foster met with her privately after the formal session. "Was this the future you foresaw when you warned us at the council meeting?" Lyra's starlight eyes seemed to shimmer with timelines unseen. "I saw the moment of decision. 12 ships standing against 800, with the fate of your world balanced on a knife's edge. What I did not foresee," she added, "was the elegance of your solution." "Elegance?" the president asked. Lyra nodded. "Most species solve threats with overwhelming numbers. You solved yours by creating something entirely different. A weapons system founded not on superior firepower, but on the willingness of individuals to die for each other." 6 months after the battle, the Galactic Archive received a new entry. A joint committee of military analysts from dozens of species had compiled the report, attempting to explain what they had witnessed. The document was marked Species Assessment. Extreme caution required, and it became mandatory reading for every military commander in the galaxy. The report's findings were both precise and deeply unsettling to species that measured strength by the size of their fleets. "Humanity represents a unique anomaly in galactic civilization," it stated. Rather than building vast armadas, they constructed exactly 12 vessels. Each was manned by volunteers fully aware that their mission might demand their lives. The document delved into human psychology more deeply than most alien cultures were comfortable with. The individuals who had executed the attack were not fanatics or blindly obedient soldiers. They were people who had made a conscious choice to place the survival of their species above their own lives. This represents a level of species-wide loyalty previously undocumented in galactic history. But the most disturbing revelation came in the final section. The attack was not a desperate improvisation. It was the execution of a long-established doctrine developed over 50 years. Humanity chose to build a fleet designed for strategic self-sacrifice from the very beginning. This reflects a mindset, willing to engage in total war as an initial option, not as a last resort. The report's conclusion became legend throughout the stars. 12 ships defended one world against 801. Not in spite of their sacrifice, but because of it. Commanders must never underestimate a species that sees its entire military not as an asset to be preserved, but as ammunition to be used. 1 year after the battle, Earth began construction of a new fleet. 12 ships once again. They were based on the same principles as before, but improved using real-time data from the final engagement. Each vessel bore a memorial plaque, 247 names engraved into metal recovered from the destroyed original fleet, a reminder that peace had been purchased with blood. Captain Peter Graham, now promoted to admiral, stood aboard the bridge of the new ESS Liberty. He looked out at the stars, remembering the friends who would never share that view again. His communications officer, a young lieutenant named Sarah Collins, approached with the day's report. "Admiral, we've received diplomatic messages from 17 species. They're requesting formal relations with Earth." Peter nodded. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity, but that respect had come at a steep price. "Send replies to all of them," he said. "Tell them Earth is open to peaceful contact, so long as they understand our one simple rule." She looked up. "Which is, sir?" Peter turned toward the memorial plaque, the engraved names catching the starlight from the viewport. 2847 souls, the cost of proving that Earth's independence was non-negotiable. Don't tamper with Earth's fleet, he said. We've shown the galaxy what that costs, and we've made it clear we're still willing to pay it.